Okay, so this is Journal 4, and today we're talking about the market manager for Cumulus, Eric Mastel. That's the article we had to read, and to start discussing his management style just from the article, we're going to start on page 73 with administrative management. So what I got from this is Henry, I don't know how to say his last name, Henry Fayol, a French mining executive, approached working productively different from Taylor, which Fayol recognized that management principles must be flexible enough to accommodate changing circumstances. So the first point I would like to make from this article is all the way at the end of the article where he talks about the Q3 loss, and see right here. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically this part right here is about how they was losing money in the Q3 due to decline in automotive spending in 2017. So to make up for the Q3 losses, the programs got involved. They came up with new sales ideas. Ferocious went to work on additional events that would sell, and of course the salespeople broke it down and all agreed to make 2 additional new business calls per day. The results in the Q4 is pacing up double digits, and we're projecting to eradicate the Q3 loss. So basically, with going on with Fayol, recognize that management principles must be flexible enough to accommodate changing circumstances. So their circumstances change. I mean, they couldn't in any way predict the automotive spending would decline in 2017, but they changed their focus, and they came up with a new plan, a new idea that seemed, to be paying pretty well for them. So that's one thing. Administrative management, being able to be flexible and being able to think outside the box to continue moving forward. Going along with administrative management is Fayol's 14 principles of management. I picked out a few that I think that Eric Mastel uses. First one I chose is number 11, equity. Fair and equitable treatment is needed for all employees. Now, for an example of, I guess, the employees feeling like they've been treated fairly is just in their testimonials. Let's see. He's smart, organized, and fair. That's a good one. He is by far one of the best managers in radio. He understands the importance of everyone's position, and he gives us ample space and opportunity to succeed without pressure or intimidation. Now, I'm going to come back to that one, but basically, equity, fair, and equitable treatment is needed for all employees. He treats his employees fair. They're on this magazine article, and they're talking him up and saying how much they like him. Right here, it is a pleasure working with him on a daily basis. Now, if you're not equitable, you're not fair, they're not going to work with you. But it's a pleasure, right? Coming down to here, he makes coming to work enjoyable, and it is certainly a family of people working hard, enjoying their job and being proud to be part of Eric Mastel's team. So 11 he has in spades. I chose number 13 of the 14 principles of management, initiative, the ability to implement and develop a plan that is crucial. The plan is crucial. This goes, of course, back down to the Q3 losses and having to come up with a plan to make money for the Q4, which they did. So he has a plan. He treats his people fairly, and I also chose number 14, esprit de corps. A spirit of harmony should be promoted among personnel. Going back up to the second paragraph, where they're talking about how good it is to work for him. Right here, makes coming to work enjoyable. It's certainly a family of people. That all ties in together. He creates a culture at the job that feels like family, and people want to come to work. They enjoy working for him, and they're proud to be working for him. Moving on, another management style that he uses is the human relations, and that can be found on page 75, the Human Relations School of Management. I chose I went back to table 4-1 and I chose number 12 for this one, which is stability of tenure of personnel. Adequate time should be allowed for employees to adjust to new work and skills demanded. I wrote down some notes. So I went to the second paragraph of the article. And right here, he understands the importance of everyone's positions, and he gives us ample space and opportunity to succeed without pressure or intimidation. He allows his people to grow. He's not hovering over them. He's not a micromanager because he's been in their position. And I think that's one key thing, is that he understands what it's like to be in their position and how important it is to allow people to spread their wings and grow and become better at what they do. Second thing I chose was Hawthorne Studies, which is the second section on page 75. I'm down on if you have your book, you can follow along. I am in the second part of the third paragraph. In short, the increased attention and interaction with supervisors led to greater productivity. Workers felt greater affinity to the company when they felt that managers showed interest in their employees and their work. So just reading this article and hearing, what people had to say about them, to the point where they're calling it a family right here, he cares. He cares about his employees, and he cares about how well they do. And even scrolling down, when he talked about what he expects from the people he manages, these are some of the things he said: get involved, generate ideas. Now, if he didn't care about a person's well-being or what they thought, he wouldn't care if they got involved. He wouldn't want them to generate ideas. But he knows he can't do it all himself. So generating ideas is huge. Common frustration is a lack of ideas. A person who is innovative and creative is a pearl to be treasured. Now, this from, reading what he had to say about his people, especially down at the bottom here. It's the second part of a question. Secondly, we have made some really great hires in all departments. We have a new program director, traffic, promotions. All three are millennials, and all three are passionate about the business, love radio, and I'm one of the hardest working staff that I have ever had the pleasure of leading. So going back to the Hawthorne Studies, increased attention and interaction with supervisors led to greater productivity. Workers felt a greater affinity to the company when they felt their managers showed interest in their employees and their work. Basically, that boils down to an employee is going to care so much more about their job and their business if they feel like they're valued and their opinions and they're contributing. They feel like they're helping out. They're valued. And Eric Mastel, just from this paragraph right here, he values his hardworking staff, the people that go that extra mile for the business and for the company, because he does the same. He expects the same, and you see that, you can just feel how proud he is to have those people under him that have the same worth ethic as he has. So that's big. So human relations, administrative management, he has that in spades. The third thing I chose is Theory Z, page 78. Theory Z, which page 78, Theory Z cites employee participation and individual development as important components of organizational growth. Interpersonal relations between workers and managers are stressed in Theory Z. So going back up to the testimonials, these people wouldn't have these things to say unless they had a close working relationship with Eric Mastel. So they know firsthand the type of man he is. And I mean, it says that, he's been doing this for 33 years, right? And he has an article about him. Eric is smart, organized, fair, and one of the best GMs ever worked with in radio. I mean, that speaks volumes. All these testimonials, these things these people had to say, all these kind words. That means they had built up a relationship, a rapport with him. And one of the things I found interesting about some of the things he had was the some of the things he talked about was failing. He wants you to fail because that's the only way you can ever understand what it feels like to succeed. Let's see if I can find it. But while I'm looking for it, the three that I chose, I mean, it seems like it really encompasses like the type of man he is as a manager. Well, I'm not finding it, but I'm going to move on. But basically, in the article, he talked about wanting you to fail because that's the only way you're going to understand what success feels like. Don't be afraid to fail. It's going to happen, but people won't try because they're afraid to fail. And that's a big no-no with him. So I think he really has a finger on the pulse of his employees. He's been doing it for a long time, so he's seeing employees come and go. He's worked with all different types of employees from all different backgrounds, so he really understands what it takes to be successful as a manager. And just by the fact that he has an article written about him where all his employees are singing his praises, he really understands to value his employees, to have that rapport with them. As a matter of fact, one thing that he mentioned, something that we've talked about a lot, is high emotional intelligence, a high level of it. Because he's asked, when do you know you have a great employee who has the potential to become a manager? See, this lets me know how in tune he is when they ask for it. They have a high level of emotional intelligence. This is a big one because we talked about this in sales, broadcast sales. We talked about this broadcast management. And I had a psych class over the summer where this was brought up. Emotional intelligence is important, not just in the workplace, but in life in general. If the employee is great at their job, meaning they have the skills necessary to effectively do their role, that's one thing. But they have a high level of emotional intelligence, that's another. Having an EI means that the employee is able to connect with various personalities, have empathy for coworkers and clients, and they are self-aware. I think this is the cornerstone of a good manager. Is being able to identify with the people you work with, where they've been, you've been. So you know the struggles and you know the obstacles and adversities they're going to deal with in their position because you've been there. He understands that. So when they're going through something, he can get on that level and he can empathize with them. And I think they'll like him all the more for that because he's human and he realizes that they're human. And look where he's at. If anything, they'll inspire them to keep trucking forward because to get to where he's at one day. So emotional intelligence is key, I think, to his management style. His management style encompasses, as I say, and I'll go through them again, administrative management, human relations school of management, and Theory Z, which basically valuing your employees, realizing their potential, but allowing them the space to grow and develop. So that's really all I have. I gotta be honest, I would love to work for this guy. He seems like you can learn a lot from him, or a manager with his same qualities and the same things he has going here. So I definitely deserve getting an article written about him. This is a great article. I enjoyed this assignment. That's all I have. Have a good one.